In the vast golden plains of the savannah, where the wind carried whispers of ancient tales and the sun painted everything in shades of fire, there lived a young lion cub named Lumo. He was small for his age, with a coat of soft gold and curious amber eyes that glimmered with mischief. His pride adored him, but everyone knew that Lumo wasn't like the other cubs. While the others practiced pouncing on shadows and roaring at the horizon, Lumo preferred to watch butterflies dance and listen to the songs of the river. His father, King Baruti, was proud and strong, a lion whose roar could make the ground tremble. He often said, "A lion must be brave, my son. The world bows to courage." But Lumo wasn't sure what courage meant yet. One morning, when the sun was barely awake, Lumo wandered farther than he ever had before. The tall grass swayed above his little head, and the hum of insects filled the air. He imagined himself as a great explorer, discovering the secrets of the world. But before long, the thrill faded into fear. He couldn't see his pride anymore. The scent of home was gone. He was lost. Trying to retrace his steps, he stumbled upon a strange sound, a faint whimper. It came from behind a cluster of dry acacia trees. Lumo crept closer and found a small creature trembling beneath a tangle of roots. It was a meerkat, barely bigger than Lumo's paw. "Are you hurt?" Lumo asked softly. The meerkat blinked up at him, eyes wide with fear. "You're a lion," he squeaked. "Yes," said Lumo. "But I won't hurt you. I promise." The meerkat hesitated, then slowly crawled out. One of his tiny legs was swollen, and his fur was matted with dirt. "My name's Tycho," he said, his voice shaking. "A hawk tried to grab me, and I fell." Lumo's heart ached for the little creature. "Don't worry, Tycho. I'll help you." He remembered how his mother would carry him gently by the scruff when he was small. So, he picked up Tycho as carefully as he could and began walking toward the direction he thought home might be. The sun climbed higher, burning down on them. Lumo's paws ached, but he didn't stop. After a while, they reached a small waterhole. Lumo set Tycho down by the edge so he could drink. Tycho sighed with relief. "Thank you," he murmured. "Most lions wouldn't bother to help someone like me." Lumo smiled shyly. "Maybe they just forget how good it feels to be kind." As they rested, dark shapes appeared across the plain, 3 hyenas. Their laughter echoed like thunder. Lumo froze. He had heard his father speak of them, tricksters who preyed on the weak and small. "Well, what do we have here?" sneered the largest hyena, her eyes glinting. "A lost lion cub and his snack?" Tycho trembled. "Lumo, run." But Lumo couldn't. His paws wouldn't move. He felt the heat of fear in his chest, the same kind that made his heart beat faster than the drums of rain. The hyenas circled closer. "You're a long way from home, little lion," said another. "Maybe your father's roar can't save you here." Lumo stood over Tycho, trying to look brave. "You can't hurt him," he said, his voice trembling. The hyenas laughed. "And who's going to stop us? You?" Lumo lowered his head, his small body shaking, but his eyes burned with something fierce. "Yes," he whispered. Before the hyenas could lunge, a sharp screech cut through the air. A cloud of birds burst from the trees, their wings flapping wildly. In the chaos, a large shadow swooped down, the hawk that had attacked Tycho earlier. But instead of striking, it dived at the hyenas, screeching so loudly that they stumbled back in surprise. Lumo didn't waste a second. He grabbed Tycho by the scruff and bolted into the tall grass. The hyenas howled behind them, but the grass was thick, and Lumo ran as fast as his small legs could carry him. When they finally stopped, both were panting, exhausted but safe. "Why did that hawk help us?" Tycho asked. Lumo looked toward the distant sky where the bird had vanished. "Maybe it saw what you tried to do before. You didn't deserve to be hurt." Tycho looked at him, admiration shining in his tiny eyes. You were brave, Lumo. You stood up to them. Lumo shook his head. I was scared. Being scared doesn't mean you're not brave, said Tycho softly. It means you care enough to face your fear anyway. They found a cave that night and curled up inside. Lumo's fur kept Tycho warm, and for the first time since he'd gotten lost, the lion cub felt safe too. The stars above glittered like 1,000 tiny fires, and Lumo whispered, maybe courage isn't about being the biggest roar. Maybe it's about protecting someone smaller than you. Days passed as Lumo and Tycho traveled together. The meerkat's leg began to heal, and he taught Lumo how to find food, sweet roots, beetles, and even hidden water holes that only desert animals knew about. In return, Lumo scared away snakes and jackals that came too close. They became inseparable. Tycho rode on Lumo's back, telling stories of the underground tunnels his family built. Lumo shared tales of his pride, the hunts, the sunrise meetings, and his father's lessons. The plains no longer felt lonely, they felt like home. But one evening, while they were resting near a rocky ridge, the ground began to tremble. A herd of wildebeest was stampeding, hundreds of hooves pounding the earth like rolling thunder. Tycho screamed, clinging to Lumo's mane. We have to move. They ran toward higher ground, but the stampede was too fast. The air filled with dust, and the noise was deafening. Then Lumo spotted a small hole between two rocks, too small for him but perfect for Tycho. Go inside. Lumo shouted. What about you? I'll find another way. Tycho hesitated, but Lumo pushed him gently. Please. Go. As Tycho disappeared into the hole, Lumo tried to climb up the rocks, but one slipped beneath his paw. He fell, and his leg twisted painfully. The herd was almost upon him. He roared, a sound more of fear than power, and closed his eyes. Then he heard another sound, Tycho's voice shouting his name. The little meerkat had crawled out again, despite the danger. He ran to Lumo and began digging furiously around his trapped leg. Go back. Lumo cried. You'll be crushed. Not without you. Tycho yelled, his tiny claws scraping at the dirt. You saved me. Now it's my turn. With one last tug, Lumo's leg came free. He leaped up, grabbed Tycho in his mouth, and bounded toward the nearest rock. The two of them barely made it as the stampede thundered past, dust and hooves swallowing the world. When it was over, they were both shaking, covered in dust but alive. Lumo looked at his friend, tears filling his golden eyes. You're crazy, he whispered. Tycho grinned. Takes one to know one. They both laughed, the sound echoing across the quiet plains. The next morning, Lumo awoke to the faint scent of his pride. His heart leaped. He ran toward it, calling out. Moments later, his mother appeared on the horizon, followed by King Baruti and the others. Lumo, she cried, rushing to him and nuzzling his face. We thought we'd lost you. Baruti looked at his son, dusty, limping, but standing tall beside a meerkat. You've grown, my son, the king said softly. You've found courage. Lumo looked down at Tycho and smiled. I didn't find it, father. I met it. The lions welcomed Tycho into their territory that day. It was unusual, no meerkat had ever lived among lions, but the pride soon learned to love the little creature. He told stories that made the cubs laugh and showed them secret ways to find water during dry days. Lumo and Tycho remained the closest of friends. They'd often sit together on the tallest rock, watching the sunset bleed across the sky. Do you think everyone has a hero inside them? Lumo asked once. Tycho nodded. Yes. Sometimes it's a lion who saves a meerkat. And sometimes it's a meerkat who saves a lion. Years passed, and Lumo grew into a strong lion, his mane thick and golden like the dawn. He became known across the savannah not just for his strength, but for his kindness. When animals quarreled, he listened. When a stranger needed help, he offered it. And whenever someone asked him how he became such a wise and gentle king, he would smile and say, "Because once, a little hero taught me what it means to be brave." The story of the lion cub and the little hero spread far and wide, whispered in the rustle of the grass and sung by the birds at sunrise. It reminded everyone, big or small, that kindness is its own kind of courage, and even the smallest heart can make the biggest difference. And every night, when the stars appeared above the savannah, they shone just a little brighter, as if the sky itself was smiling at the memory of a golden cub and his tiny, fearless friend.